Guests wait to be introduced or talked to. Hosts focus on similarities. Oh my gosh, like you should meet so-and-so. Like he does that too. Or he's, his daughter is like off to college or, whatever. Oh man, that just hit me. As Emily walks out the door. Where guests can kind of focus on differences. They might be more concerned about, who they are and I don't know if I feel like I fit in or whatever, because they're concerned about that. Hosts put others at ease, right? Guests put others on edge. Well, hopefully not, but they could. Hosts, I guess it depends on how much they've had to drink, right? Hosts look to serve, guests look to be served. Hosts add value to others. Hosts offer clear advice. Hey, why don't you try the cheese dip? Guests need clear advice. Hosts are proactive. They take initiative, where guests are reactive and passive. Do you guys see how this applies to us as followers of Jesus? Do you guys see how when we are invited into the kingdom, we are not invited as guests. We are invited to become the hosts. And I suppose that's why Jesus had to obviously he had a plan to be with the Father, but I suppose that's also why he couldn't stick around with us the whole time. Imagine if he had stuck around with the disciples the whole time. They wouldn't have risen up, would they? He had to leave, and he said, when I leave, though, I am not leaving you alone. I'm empowering you. You guys who had all your doubts and questions and frustrations and all this stuff in your life, I'm leaving you. And you know what happened is on that day that he left, they were empowered by the Holy Spirit. And everything changed. Peter was a different man when he went out onto the street after they had this Holy Spirit encounter. And he began preaching up a storm, right? Preaching up. All of those things, all of the questions and doubts and all those things disappear when the Holy Spirit comes and we get closer to him in that way. Let that sink in for a little bit. Let that sink in for a little bit. I'm going to step back for just a little bit because there was one disciple who actually maybe before this moment kind of got it. And that's Levi. And you remember Levi, he was the tax collector, one of those sinners, the irreputable guys. And Jesus comes to the place where he's collecting taxes. I mean, they took advantage. Tax collectors took advantage of people. They worked for the Roman government, not for their own people, okay? So people did not like them at all. And he said, hey, follow me. And Levi started following him. Well, we see right away in 3 of the Gospels that Levi has Jesus over to his house. And not just Jesus alone, but Levi invites all of his friends. And in Mark 2:15, this is what it says. While Jesus was having dinner at Levi's house, many tax collectors and sinners were eating with him and his disciples. Okay? And then you know that the religious people have trouble with that. Right? What? Why is he eating with these folks, like these despicable people? Then it says this. I love this. For there were many who followed him. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. Tax collectors and sinners, now they start to follow Jesus? That changes things, doesn't it? That paints a different picture. Now, can you imagine with me? I just try to imagine what it's like to be at this dinner. Okay? Like this meal where we're sitting down and we're just interacting with Jesus. This isn't Jesus on the mountain preaching to the masses. This is like Jesus at the table with you. Like, you could just ask him some questions that you want to ask this guy. And I'm sure he's talking and telling like lots of stories and testimonies about like the kinds of things that are happening and maybe teaching them a little bit, you know. Like I just imagine this is like a tremendous moment, right? So Levi did two things in this moment that I think are amazing. And this is kind of our takeaway today, okay? The first thing, and it's so simple, you guys. The first thing is that Levi invited Jesus. Levi invited Jesus to his place. As we think about the kingdom and as we think about Alpha, I am asking you, will you pray over these next 30 days especially that Jesus will come and he will be part of every Alpha that we're doing? That we will invite him and that his presence will be so evident in every place where we are gathered together for a meal. That it's not just us, that we have this sense that, man, Jesus is with us. That Jesus is going to speak to us. That Jesus is going to do what he does so well with all of us tax collectors and sinners. And all the tax collectors and sinners that we invite to Alpha. And then number two, Levi invited others. He wasn't going to have this party alone, just him and Jesus. He's like, you guys gotta meet this guy, right? You guys got to see him too. You've got to hear what he says, you know? This is what we're doing. This is really what Alpha is. It's like this Levi dinner. We invite Jesus to come. We invite people to come. We have this meal together. We listen to this talk where it's like, this is who Jesus is. This is what he's speaking to us, you know? And then we have this time together where we're just going to talk about that. What does that mean? And in our discussion time, we're just going to let people say what they want to say and listen and help them to align their lives with Jesus. Are you guys with me in this party? Are you guys ready? Like, let's have a party. Let's have a party. Let's all stand together.